Ubiquitous, and the project I decided to pursue in order to make a sustainable change in my everyday life was making a transition from mainstream Tide detergent to my own homemade detergent, which is extremely simple and eco-friendly. During this 8-week period, I researched several different types of recipes until I came across one that seemed to be the easiest to make with the least amount of chemicals used. I purchased the ingredients, made my own batch, and have used it in my laundry ever since. During these 8 weeks, I also researched chemical content of commercial brand detergents in order to make comparisons with my homemade detergent, comparing costs, environmental impacts, and human health. It's extremely important for consumers to be aware of the negative environmental impacts of commercial brand detergents. Because the chemicals in detergents end up in laundry wastewater, it directly affects the environment. These chemicals also directly affect people and their families all around the world. They affect Clemson students. All I see when I go to the laundry room is commercial brand detergents everywhere. When a mom, dad, or college student washes their clothes with these brands high in chemicals, it not only gives the chemicals physical contact with their skin and the skin of those around them, but the chemicals also become airborne in households and dorm rooms, where the environment is enclosed for the most part and restricted, allowing circulation of hazardous fumes. Let's take a closer look at what types of chemicals are actually in a bottle of Tide. A lot of detergent brands don't list all the chemicals while labeling. You will probably notice surfactants as a common ingredient on a given bottle of detergent, but this single word is used to reference a number of different chemicals that might have been used in the production of the detergent. When surfactants are used, they release benzene into the environment. Benzene is a toxic carcinogen that has been observed in 50 to 60% of all cancers. Having this chemical as an ingredient in detergent allows it to come in direct contact with skin. Here is a list of the ingredients found in Tide detergent. There is a total of 22 chemicals on this list. Less than half of these are shown on the label of a bottle of Tide. 1,4-dioxane is listed here. This is a petrochemical solvent which is a known cancer-causing chemical that has been linked in animal studies to increased risk of breast cancer. The U.S. federal regulation systems consider dioxane's potency to be equivalent to or greater than many pesticides considered dangerous to humans. However, because a bottle of Tide falls slightly under the amount of 100 parts per million that the EPA requires to be considered harmful, they refrain from warning consumers on labels. Laboratory studies show that exposure to 1,4-dioxane over a lifetime causes cancer in animals, which may likewise cause cancer in humans. It has also been found to have a low toxicity in aquatic life. It has a permanent effect on waterways because it isn't able to be broken down or biodegrade, and water filters cannot remove it. It has not been found to biodegrade in any type of soil either. This can have diminishing effects on both plant life and aquatic life. Another chemical found in surfactants is SLS, which has been categorized by 16,000 studies as a moderate hazard to human health and the environment. It has been found to cause organ toxicity, developmental, reproductive, and endocrine disorders, also possible causes of mutations and cancer. SLS has also been linked to nitrosamines, which are potent carcinogenic chemicals. The accumulation of toxic surfactants in the environment through wastewaters has a terrible impact on aquatic wildlife. Another chemical that serves as a main cleaning ingredient in most detergents, including Tide, are phosphates. These chemicals are difficult to remove from wastewater and often end up in rivers and lakes, where they increase algae growth, choking off waterways and suffocating salmon and other aquatic life. Phosphates act like a fertilizer in waterways. When the overabundant algae die, they release toxins that deplete waterways of oxygen. Phosphates remain active even after wastewater treatment. Artificial fragrances and optimal brighteners in detergents have been linked to various toxic effects on fish and animals, as well as allergic reactions in humans. NPE is another chemical found in surfactants. It's referred to as the gender bender chemical because it mimics the hormone estrogen, which can potentially cause hormonal problems or even cancer. Organisms exposed to NPE have shown kidney and liver damage, reproductive issues, disrupted growth, and increased mortality. According to the Sierra Club's research, when rainbow trout are exposed to NPE, they become part male and part female. NPE pollution is likely responsible for a portion of the odd gender bending phenomena recently being seen in aquatic species. There are a total of 25 chemicals found in Tide detergent, some of which I just gave a brief overview of. Less than half of these chemicals are actually identified on the label. This can be said for a majority of non-organic commercial brand detergents. Comparing chemical content to these detergents in my homemade batch, I have used a significantly smaller amount of pure ingredients, coming to about 20 less chemicals than commercial brands use. The chemicals I used to make my homemade batch were Arm & Hammer washing soda, which contains just one all-natural ingredient, sodium carbonate. I also use Arm & Hammer baking soda, which is 100% sodium bicarbonate. I use borax, which is 100% sodium tetraborate and 99% pure. The last ingredient I used was Kirk's Original Castile soap, which is made up of pure botanical coconut oil with vegetable glycerin. This bar of soap is also biodegradable, and my research has concluded that little to no toxicity threat to human health or the environment in any of the following ingredients I've used, as long as they are maintained and used in small amounts. Here's a step-by-step procedure of the recipe I used to make my homemade detergent. One batch made is equivalent to 45 ounces of detergent. For research purposes, I've rounded 45 ounces up to 46 to be exactly equal with a bottle of Tide in order to record accurate data. This is another table representing ingredients and reviewing chemical content. As I have already stated, you can see that about 20 less chemicals were used in the process of making my homemade detergent. Prices were also recorded so that a comparison could be made to commercial brand Tide. The total cost of the ingredients for my homemade detergent came to $15.44, and the cost of a bottle of Tide averaged at $10 per bottle. Shown next is a table comparing my previous laundry patterns while using Tide to my current patterns after switching over to my own detergent. The amount of detergent used each trip to the laundry room was also recorded. Because my patterns remained consistent doing 2 loads of laundry every 2 weeks, I was able to conclude the amount of money saved in chemical usage for both options over a year's period under the circumstances of maintaining the same pattern, which is shown here in this table. Over a period of 1 year, the average consumer will use 4 bottles of Tide detergent. The ingredients collected with one trip to the grocery store are enough to last an entire year for the homemade detergent. 4 bottles of Tide a year comes to about $40 compared to the $16 a year for my homemade detergent. This not only saves $24 a year, but also avoids an array of about 95 toxic and harsh chemicals. According to this data, a conclusion can be made that if every person in the world were to adopt a lifestyle making homemade detergents instead of using commercial brands, it would ultimately benefit the overall health of humans, the Earth's environmental well-being, and wildlife. If our local community of 20,000 students here at Clemson were to adopt a lifestyle strictly using organic homemade recipes for their laundry, we could prevent a total of 2 million chemicals a year from being emitted into the environment, harming aquatic wildlife in our beloved Clemson Beach and waterways. This would also be creating a healthier student body. Globally, if the entire world were to adopt this lifestyle, chemical emission into the environment would significantly lower, making a substantial contribution to preserving the Earth's biosphere and all living organisms that inhabit it, including and especially human health. Socially, it is our duty as a whole to protect and preserve the environment, which ultimately gives us life. Protecting the environment implies reducing the amount of pollution emitted into waterways through transport of laundry wastewater. Chemicals and wastewater run directly down the drain into water systems, posing permanent pollution issues that can negatively affect the use of drinking water and have dire effects on entire ecosystems. The pollution of water has a serious impact on all living creatures and has the ability to diminish life of plants, animals, and humans in a domino effect. Humans and animals both have the right to clean drinking water in order to survive. Adopting a lifestyle of homemade detergent would increase the likelihood of attaining healthy water systems. Ethically, this type of change may be seen as a more time-consuming and energy-consuming process that people might not be so quick to adopt, especially as college students where there never seems to be enough time in the day. It might not also be agreeable for the majority of busy families throughout the world, but the benefits of incorporating an extra 10 minutes into your laundry routine outweigh any small additional measurements of time spent. And if the amount of benefit to human health outweighs the amount of additional work, then it ought to be done in order to promote overall well-being. It is human morality to be informed and aware of what types of chemicals are in the products we use that directly affect our health. There is an overwhelming amount of toxic and carcinogenic chemicals found in all commercial laundry detergents. The commercial brands aren't required to label all chemicals and ingredients used in production. They deceitfully throw a surfactant label on the bottle, lying to consumers about the multiple harmful chemicals that are categorized into this one label. Bottles don't label the slight traces of 1,4-dioxane, a known carcinogen that has been found in 87% of all commercial brand detergents. Making homemade detergent would allow everyone to be fully aware of what types of chemicals they are putting into their clothes and breathing into their lungs. Practically, making homemade detergent is a simple and easy production. It requires going to the grocery store, supercenter, or department store, which is already a part of everyone's routine, purchasing about 5 ingredients and spending about 10 minutes every 4 months making a new batch depending on the amount of laundry the person does. Making conclusions based on my data, one batch will last me about 4 months and might be a more relatable time frame for college students than people with larger families where they are accommodating more laundry for more individuals. Lastly, economically, homemade detergent is also the less expensive, environmental-friendly alternative. Switching from Tide detergent to my homemade detergent, I will save $24 over the next year. Looking at a larger scale time frame, I will save $240 within the next 10 years. Adopting this type of lifestyle would financially benefit college students. An average family of 4 will spend about $190 on laundry detergent per year. Adopting this lifestyle would allow everyone, especially families, to save significant amounts of money throughout their life. Weak anthropocentrism points out that nature can help define human preferences and therefore should be used responsibly. Human preferences, according to weak APC, are measured by felt preferences and considered preferences. Felt preferences are the desires that occur within individual human consciousness. A felt preference is more so a human interest. An example of this is demonstrated when human interests favor more environmentally hazardous commercial brand detergents due to the less demanding aspects. This felt preference is currently the preference that majority of society favors. In order to change this, weak APC ethics must be applied. Weak APC provides a basis for criticism of value systems that exploit nature, such as the notion of mainstream branded detergents, by emphasizing the close relationship between the human species and other living species, signifying human harmony with nature. This directly addresses our behavior as humans on the environment and gives justifiable reasoning as to why it should change. Ideals such as living in harmony with nature justifies an obligatory framework that thereby requires humans to criticize felt preferences in favor of rationalized decision making that will ultimately preserve nature itself. This places an obligation on individuals to process felt preferences of using commercial brand detergents into choosing a healthier and environmental friendly alternative of making homemade detergent as a result of becoming conscious of the negative effects, thus making a considered preference to benefit the whole. Weak APC's ethic of careful deliberation of non-individualistic human consciousness is necessary in order for our society to adopt a less toxic lifestyle with nature as our teacher. Pollution of waterways from laundry wastewater has a detrimental effect to humans directly by limiting drinking water and creating an array of dangerous health issues. This pollution diminishes aquatic and terrestrial wildlife, having the ability to also destroy entire ecosystems and the environment itself. Adopting weak APC as a societal lifestyle requires that our thought process be molded in order to make decisions and take action according to an overall rationalized interest of conserving nature and saving the waterways. Therefore, requiring society to adopt a lifestyle minimizing chemical emission into the environment by making non toxic homemade laundry detergent and promoting a world of human harmony with nature that benefits the current whole and respectfully values the integrity of trust of ongoing human life. Leopold's land ethic is the second ethic that strongly supports my practice. The land ethic enlarges the boundaries of the community to include plants, animals, soil, water, and all of the land. This would require society today to give up the role of conqueror of the land to plain member and citizen of the same community. The role of conqueror is usually self defeating, as seen throughout history and still to this day. Land today is not being treated with respect, but being destroyed for the benefit of human interests. Society purchases commercial brand detergents because of their interest to have nice things, nice smelling, and bright looking clothing. There is an overbearing human attitude that needs to be addressed while adopting a less toxic homemade detergent type of lifestyle. The land ethic entitles the societal community to change their attitude towards respect of the land as if it were a fellow citizen. To preserve the balance of nature and biodiversity on Earth, the pollution of waterways through chemical emissions from humans' wastewater must stop. Nature must be respected. The land ethic also implies that something is right when it tends to preserve the integrity, stability, and beauty of the biotic community, and is wrong when it tends otherwise. This type of change in attitude holistically requires an internal change in our intellectual emphasis, ecological consciousness, and responsibility for the health of the land. Adopting a less toxic lifestyle requires this type of holistic attitude because the chances are slim to none that commercial laundry detergents will be removing the toxic chemicals that enhance their products and bring them profit. These brands will remain on store shelves, and society will always have a choice between Tide and the non toxic alternative of human detergent. It is the land ethic that ultimately strives for the internal change that would influence society's decision to respect the land instead of polluting it.